Welcome to the April 7th, 2025 Merrimack School Board meeting. Will you stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I want to welcome everyone on a day that says it's April but feels like February. Spring will get here eventually. This is the time in our meeting when we open up the floor to public comment. If you would like to make a comment, you're welcome to come to the back microphone, state your name and address, and if you're a student, you do not need to state your address.
Hi, I'm Erin Murray, and I'm here to talk about, I talked to Finn recently, and he said you guys wanted more student comments on the bring your own device policy. I know I'm graduating this year, and my class is the last one that got grandfathered in on that policy, but speaking on behalf of the younger students and the students who are in the school, continuing to be in the school, I do not think that it is a good idea to limit the students to only Chromebooks and only that, because I know there are concerns about security, but that is mostly covered by the school Wi-Fi as well, because I know we just updated the Wi-Fi, and that is something that is mostly covered on that front. But what is more concerning for me is high-level students have a hard time achieving the work that they are doing on Chromebooks. My younger brother is one of the main software engineers on the robotics team. They are currently on their way to Houston. They're going to compete in the world competition. And all of the coding that he does for that robot is on his personal laptop, because he cannot do the work that he is doing to run that robot and to code that robot on these computers. And so limiting him to just this computer is something that you should not do, because it will severely impact the amount of work that they can do. I'm an AP student. I take a lot of classes. I have a lot of work. And a lot of work means a lot of tabs, a lot of windows. I have work in here that I need to do and I need to access that will take 5 to 10 minutes for my computer to boot up, because it's so slow. I don't know if any of you have ever done serious work on a Chromebook, but it's kind of awful. These things are really good for bringing students who don't have laptops up to the level of students who do have their own laptops. But if a student has their own laptop, I believe that they should be able to use it, because it allows them to do so many more things on a much faster scale. High-level students, the thing that they lack the most is their time. And so wasting all the time on waiting on the laptop to boot up, waiting to open a tab, waiting for something to load, and slowly all that waiting time really builds up. I know there's concerns, but I don't think that bringing all of the students down to the same lowest level is the best solution. I think there are other solutions that we should look into. I think we should look into other safety or security options. I know the Wi-Fi already blocks pretty much everything that you could possibly think of. And I just don't think that limiting students to only the school computer, which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever used split screen on your personal computers, but it's a very helpful tool. These computers are so small that split screen is very, very tiny, which really limits the amount of work that you can do in a certain amount of time. It's really a very limiting tool for people who already have their own tools, which are better to prepare themselves for going into the world. This computer will not travel with me to college. This is not the computer that I will do my college work on. It cannot handle it. And so letting students use the tools that they will use later in their own lives, using the tools that they're going to use when they go into computer science, like my little brother will, or when I go into a career where I'm doing digital and technical art, because that's what I am doing. I'm doing art as a career. But this can't even handle that. So allowing students to use the devices that they are going to be using later in their lives is preparing them better. Because while this is access for students who don't have that, limiting the students who have access to their own better devices is not the best way forward. And I wanted to express that to you guys. Thank you.
May I just make an observation? You speak very well in public. You've done an excellent job.
All right. We will go to recognitions. We have a very important recognition tonight. We want to recognize our school board member, Ken Martin. This is his last night on the board. And I just want to say that it has been a real pleasure to work with you, Ken. I didn't know you when you were first elected, but you have been an amazing contributor to this team. Your perspective, your thoughts, your wisdom, your discernment, your experience in the classroom as a music educator, and your commitment to this town has been 110% the entire time you have been on the board. And we're going to recognize you with this beautiful plaque. This states presented to Ken Martin in recognition and appreciation of your outstanding service representing the students, staff, and residents of Merrimack on the Merrimack School Board from 2022 to 2025. So I'm going to bring that over and open it up for the board to also state what they would like to state.
So, Ken, your quiet demeanor was a perfect match for my fiery approach. You always listened. It's been a privilege for all of us to serve the past 3 years with you. You're a school board member who has demonstrated the highest core values. You have great leadership. You're always kind, and you're always thoughtful in your deliberation. Our school board became a true team. And that happened because of your mentorship and all of our ability to start working really together. I'm so proud of the work the 5 of us have done together, and I'm sad to see you go, but I'm excited for your next chapter. As you know, your dad was a very loyal friend of mine, and I was so excited when I saw that you were running for school board, even though I didn't know you, but I knew your dad. So I really appreciate our time together, and I'm glad that we are going to be forever friends.
Well, I also did not know you before you joined the school board. I just remember standing out there holding election signs and having somebody come up and ask some super controversial question, and then you handled it like a pro, and I was like, okay, we're going to be fine if you get selected. And, you know, it's funny because when you start working together in a job, in a role like this, you know, there are times when when we're totally on the same page, and then there's other times when not so much. And you and I had some fun phone calls when not so much, but I've always appreciated that you've been willing to listen to me. You've been willing to let me say my thing and I still disagree with you. and I've always really appreciated your sense of yourself and your sense of your values, and what Lori just said about you is absolutely true. And I have the highest regard for anyone who steps up in a role like this, because we know it's not easy. I mean, I think I knew it was not easy before I did it, but now I really know it's not easy. And my favorite quote from Brené Brown, which is actually Teddy Roosevelt, not Brené Brown, but it is about the man in the arena. And thank you for stepping up into the arena. Merrimack is better for it. Our kids are better for it. This town is better for it. And our board has absolutely been better for it. And so I just want to say thank you. This town owes you a great debt of gratitude.
I totally didn't prepare anything, so I'm gonna wing it. Well, we ran a campaign together 3 years ago, which was when I met him. And I have appreciated your calm and your level-headedness, and your leadership and being a sounding board and all of the things that you've done over the last 3 years. It will not be the same board without you.
Ken, you have made a big impact in just 3 years. And not a lot of people can say in one term they have accomplished so much. And you have been a part of this team that has accomplished so much. And we thank you for your forward vision and your courage to move this district into improvement and just a future that is going to be more fantastic than it has been. And we will miss you greatly.
I remember when Tim and I went to our first school board meeting, and not knowing very many of you, we left that day, and Tim looked at me and he said, "Who was that man with those socks?" And every board meeting since, I've come in wondering, well, what socks is Ken going to wear today? I've grown to know you as somebody who always stood up for education, who's the voice for people who might not be as athletically motivated. Having that voice in the room is really crucial to so many students, and we appreciate it.
And may I just say also, and certainly Amy and Matt are welcome to say whatever they like. Ken, what has always struck me is your fairness, your objectivity, your willingness to listen, your respect, your support, your collaborative nature, and the fact that you've always, always, always been focused on the needs of students and the needs of our staff. And what could be more honorable than that? It has been an absolute pleasure, and we will all miss you, and I will always remember you as one of the finest school committee, school board members with whom I've ever had the opportunity to work.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going to pile on, though. We all love Ken Martin Train. Ken, thank you so much for, welcoming me when I came onto the board. We started the first night. That was your first night on the board. And I was nervous, and you were not. And you just really have a calm presence about you. And what everyone has said here is so true. You're just the best kind of human being to have in the world. And you're going to be missed.
Might as well keep going
Oh,
down the
geez.
line here, eh? Finn, thank you. I didn't realize the sock thing. I never looked at his feet.
I'm over here,
So
so-
I'm over here. I can't see your socks. But yeah, no, it has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, there are certain board members that exude a degree of excellence and just very thoughtfulness, caring, and kind of looking at the task at hand and trying to break it down into manageable bites and to take one step forward at a time and do it in a nice, measured, logical way. And that's the one thing I appreciate about you and your just presence here. It's a stabilizing force, especially this past year. With the budget committee being what it was, it was nice to look over and see you or Naomi there at the table. So I really appreciate you, and thank you very much for your service to this board. Hopefully we will see you back when maybe your schedule lightens up in the future. If it doesn't, that's our loss. But it was a pleasure working with you and for you. Thank you.
Now I'm gonna say something. Thank you. I don't handle praise well, so I apologize. But I really do appreciate it. It's very kind of you to say. I will say that I felt like when I moved here in 2017, just completely on a whim. And again, the only reason I moved here, the main reason we moved here was so my son could be in the music department at Merrimack. Within 6 or 7 months, I said to myself, I think I'm just going to run for school board because it's something I had always thought about doing. I knew none of you. I knew none of what was going on. I knew maybe 10 people in Merrimack, and I was related to like 7 of them. And so I just said, I'm just going to go for it. And then COVID happened. And then I was like, I'm going to wait a year, I think. And then I did, and not really expecting much. And I feel like I won the lottery as far as being on the board, because not only did I have incredible colleagues on here, some of the most intelligent educators and individuals I've ever had to work with, but just everyone, while some conversations were difficult, they were handled incredibly well and professionally. And we never, there were definitely moments where we weren't all on the same page on things, but I never felt like things were headed in a bad direction. It just always felt like things were going to move positively. So I'm very appreciative for all of your energy and all of the things that you will continue to do for this school district. This certainly is not about me. I am but a small blip on the Merrimack radar. And I always live by the words that my father said all the time, that nothing is ever too serious that you can't laugh about it. And that is something that I take with me no matter what I do and where I go. So just remember to keep that in mind when the going gets hard down the road. So thank you very much.
I don't know, maybe we should have done that at the end. We will go to our superintendent update now.
Thank you. Had a wonderful cable program last week with Sarah Campbell, Dr. Sarah Campbell. We talked about a number of things. We have outstanding staff members in our school district, and Sarah certainly exemplifies that. Has a degree from the College of William and Mary and a PhD from Dartmouth College. She'll be going to an MIT summer program with a scholarship this summer. She has been involved with the Granite State Challenge for many years. Incidentally, to put in a plug, she sent me an email this morning saying, make sure that you mention to everyone this Thursday night, 8:30 on public TV, is the competition against Conval. But, she is one of the great staff members, and we had a wonderful program. I want to also congratulate Jackie McMahon and Cinzia Bibb, two of our nurses, who were recently recognized by the New Hampshire DOE Trailblazer in Education. And that is a recognition that comes to people who bring innovative and challenging. They challenge the status quo and bring innovative improvements to education and opportunities for students. They have been very much involved in the hydroponic gardening program that has been at the Thorntons Ferry School for a couple of years now through a grant, and we want to congratulate them for that recognition. Also, from the high school, Nicole Susi in our special education department was recognized as the March WZID Teacher of the Month. So Jackie and Cinzia, the Trailblazers for March from the DOE, and Nicole Susi, the Teacher of the Month for March from WZID. We recently recognized our paraprofessionals just with a message of thank you on the Paraprofessional Appreciation Day, which is, I believe it's the first Wednesday of every April annually. As we all know, they're the unsung heroes of the school district. They work as hard as anyone. They make an extraordinary difference every single day to our students. Also, just continuing along with good news from Reed's Ferry. Mrs. Stubbs, Mrs. Lasad, and the administration hosted the third annual Literacy Night last week, and it was well attended by families that participated in a variety of literacy activities, games, crafts, phonics, and it was very, very successful. At the middle school, 7th grader Jacob Klakowski, and I apologize Jacob, if I mispronounced your name, competed in the state junior oratorical contest put on by the American Legion this past weekend, placed 5th in the competition. So congratulations to Jacob. And 7th grader Kylie Clancy competed in a national ice hockey competition, and her team made it to the semifinals. I mentioned the Granite State Challenge from Brendan McWalter, also at the high school. Had two district concerts, the Celebration of Song, which you alluded to, Naomi, and the Cavalcade of Bands, which were excellent. We have outstanding, as Ken said, outstanding musicians. The MHS Chorus and Concert Band traveled to Bow High School to participate in the New Hampshire Music Educators Association Large Group Festival. They did extraordinarily well, received outstanding feedback, and this past weekend, 19 high school musicians proudly represented Merrimack at the, once again, the New Hampshire Music Educators Association Classical All-State Festival with, once again, outstanding feedback. From the high school, last but not least, the Science Olympiad. We have some students on Saturday, March 29th. Merrimack High School Science Olympiad team competed at the 2025 New Hampshire State Tournament held at St. Anselm College. Actually, only half the team was able to make it, and they finished as one of the top teams in the entire competition. I believe they finished third in the entire state. And that is our MHS Science Olympiad team. So congratulations to them. You know, we're often very proud of our students and our staff in this district. They make great things happen. And here's where, you know, we talk about through all the budget preparation and discussions, we talk about return on investment. These students and our staff are giving taxpayers a great return on investment, and we're very, very proud of them.
Comments and questions? Naomi?
As a parent of a student at Thornton's Ferry, I wanted to mention that hydroponic garden that the nurses do, it's really cool. It's like right in the door as you walk in, and there's all these vegetables growing up the wall. But they have a tomato raffle when these little cherry tomatoes are ripe, and it's a big deal to have your name called and to go get a tomato. I had a kid get on my bus a couple of days ago holding his cherry tomato in his hand, and he's like, "I don't like cherry tomatoes, but I'm bringing it home for my mom." So it's really cool.
It's
And
the Great Tomato Giveaway.
Thank
That's
you.
what they.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
hysterical.
It's a whole thing. And you mentioned the celebration of song and the cavalcade of bands. I wanted to mention that the community can watch those shows on Merrimack TV, either on the Merrimack TV app or on their website. They now have a site that's called the Video Vault, where you can go back and watch recorded programs. And I didn't get to go to the celebration of song, but the cavalcade of bands was incredible this year. It's well worth a watch.
If I could tag in on the new Merrimack TV Vault, they've been doing really great work. They actually transformed their website to try and get away from YouTube so that people didn't feel like they had to go watch ads or sign up for an account. So now all of the Merrimack TV content will be available on their website with meeting agendas next to the videos, and you can actually pick specific spots that you want to go watch, and you just click on that, and it will bring you right in the video where it is. So they really do incredible work.
Yeah, great. Lloyd, may I just mention one more thing before Amy speaks? I just want to remind everybody, tomorrow's Election Day and a no school day.
All right, Amy, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Update.
Good evening, everyone. So I'll just continue congratulating people. So recently, Sue Loers, who is our federal funds bookkeeper, I know that sounds like a really exciting job if you'd like that. She recently went through another audit from the DOE, and they came and spent a day with her going through every policy, procedure, process, from procurement to purchase, and she just came out on top. We have a couple of things to clean up, but Sue is just amazing, and I think she's just one of those people that she just quietly does all of this significantly challenging documentation in the background, and we're just so lucky to have her. So I just want to thank Sue for her work on the audit. And then similarly, we have been going through, well, the state has decided to go through a change in how we report data to them. If you're familiar, it's called I4C, and they're changing from their current system to Alma, which is a student information system. So our person that does that is Luda. Matt can pronounce her last name.
I was waiting for you. Balanovich.
Balanovich. And Luda has gone through this process now, and it's just not gone smoothly, to be honest. But she just has such a great attitude about it, and other districts are now reaching out to her to try to help problem solve. So I just want to thank Luda. I know that that's a really thankless job, reporting all this data.
If I could interject.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the state actually reaches out to Luda to help them
Yeah.
troubleshoot
Can you fix
certain
this?
things in their program. And the problem with the way they do the submissions is everybody has to be perfect or everything stops. Like, we're waiting for a particular district across the river that maybe begins with the letter L to get their stuff in gear so we could submit. And it is really very frustrating to have to deal with a system that is that restrictive, that all ducks have to match up for the Tetris piece for everything to fall in before one district can even submit to the DOE. They have to have another set of programmers or something in order to do this job a little bit better. But it is frustrating, and it's taking a lot of time. And sometimes you're ready, but you're stuck because District XYZ hasn't started doing what they're supposed to do yet. And it is frustrating.
But Luda is doing great.
Yes.
That was what I wanted to say.
I'm
and
sorry. I
that's
just
okay.
have,
And so then some assessment updates. Access testing is complete. Some of you know that our ESOL teachers are required to do this annual assessment. It's a required statewide assessment to look at English language proficiency in the areas of listening, reading, speaking, and writing. It's a ton of work, and they have completed that assessment. And the New Hampshire statewide assessment, or the New Hampshire SAS window, opened on April 1st. So families may be on the lookout for a testing schedule from your students' building administration. All students in grades 3 through 8 will take the New Hampshire SAS in literacy and math. And then in grades 5, 8, and 11, they also take the science assessment. And I mentioned at the last meeting that on April 16th, students in grades 9 through 11 will participate in either the PSAT or the SAT at Merrimack High School, and the SAT is the required statewide assessment for juniors. And then finally, during the month of April, we will have 2 family engagement activities with Sarah Sherman. One is on April 16th. That will be a Zoom meeting on practical home supports for students with anxiety, ADHD, and autism. And then on April 23rd, there was an in-person event at Merrimack Middle School in the library at 4 p.m. on the IEP process.
Comments or questions from the board? Well, please thank Luda for us, because I know anytime the DOE decides to make a massive change, it's always very cumbersome. Every time they have done that, it's never a smooth transition.
Well, they bought a student information system that no one uses in the state of New Hampshire, and kind of made Power School talk to it as opposed to it being able to morph itself to talk to Power School, because Power School is the majority of school districts in the state of New Hampshire. So I don't know what went on there, but that's exactly what happened.
Okay, well, Matt, it's your turn for
It's my
our
turn?
Assistant Superintendent
Okay.
of Business update.
Yeah, and going along with the federal compliance thing, I mean, Sue Lewis worked a lot of hours, but we had Pearl Bratton pulling pay slips. We had Sarah Raffel also getting all this information. I think they were working for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And then the person from the state comes in, they're there for 2 hours in the conference room going, okay, everything looks great, got to put this on the website and you're all done. It's kind of like anticlimactic. It's like, wow.
Could be worse.
It could be worse. So I'm not, State of New Hampshire, I am not complaining. You did a tremendous job. Thank you very much. There's one thing I would like to mention. I'd like to recognize Mike Dumais. Mike is retiring from the district. He was first hired in 1990. He is our he's our assistant facilities director. He works for Tom Tussaud. Like I said, he started his career as a custodian with the school district on September 17th, 1990. He later became the head custodian at Merrimack High School and moved on to a maintenance mechanics position. In September 2008, Mike was promoted to Assistant Director of Buildings and Grounds, rounding out a almost 34-year career with the Merrimack School District. Mike is a tremendous asset to the school district. We will miss him dearly. He's been a good friend, and he's been a good guy to work with and to have on your team. There's nothing Michael would not do for anybody in the school district. And I'm kind of sad to see him go, but I understand, it's his time. So we wish him well, and hopefully, maybe every once in a while he'll do us a favor with helping us out part-time here and there, So we'll try and twist his arm a little bit. But I just want to thank Michael for that. Thank you.
Comments or questions? Thank him from the board as well. Custodians are unsung heroes. They do their work a lot of times when we're all out of the building, and I try to clean up the classroom every day, make it as neat and tidy as possible, but they come in and make it spotless and wonderful, and they do a wonderful job. Many of our custodians build relationships with the students when they are in the building, and then to move on to maintenance and facilities, which again, a thankless job, but such a necessary part of our district to maintain our educational facilities and our grounds. our students need quality facilities to be able to learn. And he has been a major part in ensuring that we have high quality facilities.
There's a running joke that Michael and I have with Tom that it appears that every time Tom goes on vacation, even for a couple of days, some disaster will strike.
Always.
And so Mike and I will have to get together and try and solve this whole thing. But yeah, it's kind of like we always he comes into my office, says, "Yeah, Tommy's taking another vacation week, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I know. Wonder what's going to happen this year." Well, we'll find out, won't we? Been lucky the past few, but I could tell stories. But I'm not going to do that now.
Thank you. For our school board update tonight, I just want to, as Bill mentioned, tomorrow is Election Day. There are 2 ballots. There was some confusion I saw on social media. There are 2 separate ballots, one for the town and one for the school district. There are different candidates, different offices, and different warrant articles. So I also want to mention that there is a sign I've seen in town that says vote no on 7. And I spoke to a couple people who have those in their yards. Those are related to the town warrant article number 7, not the school side number 7, because the school side number 7 is our budget. So I just wanted to clarify that so that members of the public recognize those different warrant articles when they go in to vote tomorrow. As Bill said, we don't have school. It's a day for our students to be safe and our voters to have good access, parking, those kinds of things to vote. We are losing Ken. Naomi is running for re-election. There are 2 open seats on the school board. There are 4 open seats on budget committee and a couple open seats for planning and building as well. School clerk and school treasurer are also elected seats. So we encourage everyone to come out and vote. Let your voice be heard. And we look forward to, in 2 weeks, to see what our board will be comprised of at that point. And as always, we make that transition and move forward with our goals and vision for the district. Comments or questions? Okay. Student Representative Finn Haddad update.
Wonderful. I got actually a lot of stuff today, so I'll try and go quick, and I apologize if I repeat anything that somebody else has already said. An outing club is starting at Merrimack High School. They're hoping to go on hikes in the local area and expand to do more outdoor activities. As Aaron mentioned, Chop Shop 166 has completed their district's event, and they will be going on to Worlds, which is in Houston. Spring sports is starting, so we have baseball, softball, lacrosse, track, tennis, and volleyball. Today, students took the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, which I am told is a very important test if you would like to join the Armed Services. The Merrimack High School building will be able to host the Quiz Bowl finals for the state. Student Council is hard at work on Spirit Week, which will come at the end of April, and Prom for the juniors, which will be on May 9th. Our Students Against Destructive Decisions Club are hard at work planning their mock crash. I like to think most of my student updates are relatively positive, but sometimes I have to say things that are a little less exciting. I know I've talked before about the program that the Cultural Equality Club runs, where they go to elementary schools. They read I Promise by LeBron James and ask kids questions and have them promise something. Unfortunately, in response to a right to know request and an issued complaint to the Commissioner of Education, Frank Edelbutt, regarding a recent letter from the Federal Department of Education, the school district administration made the decision to end this program. It's my job to provide you with student and staff updates as they're presented to me. And the students are sad and they're angry by this decision. I've been told quite a few times by students that the book had nothing to do with DEI. It was about kindness. I get scared when kindness starts being banned and everybody sits down. That sums up my student updates for today.
Comments or questions from the board? Well, I would just like to say that I too am disappointed by that decision. Learning about other cultures, learning about other people in our world and in our community is not DEI. I agree with your statement on that, Finn. And I think that as policies are being made in DC and New Hampshire, those things are going to have to be fleshed out so that there's clear direction and that school funding isn't being threatened simply because we are celebrating the cultures of our world. Because every human being is intrinsically valuable and should be celebrated. And we should learn more about each other, not less.
Lori, may I just say also, Finn, in response to something you said about the right to know request, and I don't believe this needs a school board vote, but I've checked with with our legal counsel, haven't heard back from her, but I'm going to propose that we publish the names of residents who have made right to know requests. These are requests that in some cases involve the copying of, making thousands and thousands of copies, involve lots of labor time, some more than others, involve legal costs, and the public has a right to know where the money is being expended. And some of these requests have come in from individuals who have made 2, 3, 4, and that is their right. I'm not faulting them for it. It's just that I think people need to know there is a cost associated with those requests, and so as long as there's no legal ramification, and I will let you know as we get, hopefully before the end of this week, my intent is to begin to put on our website who has made the request, what the nature of the request is, and if we are able to accumulate the cost associated with that request, we'll post that on there also.
And I would like to add to that, as we have seen, I think we should post along with that what the RSA is, along with a brief synopsis of FOIA federally and FERPA, because I think there is some general confusion over what is an educational record, what is a required thing that we have to produce to turn over, versus what is something that has, is covered by FERPA or privacy of students or an outside vendor's materials, which we don't have access to, things of those natures that are not covered by right to know, so that if someone feels like they need to file a right to know request, they can clearly find the guidelines on our website and not have to search, the RSA on Google.
And I have those materials. We'll be glad to put them on there.
Okay. Thank you. So since tomorrow is voting day, let's review our warrant articles and voters guide. As I briefly stated, we do have a separate ballot from the town, and everyone should have received in their mail a voting guide. You want to hold that up, Matt? Thank you, Amy. It looked like this. If you didn't get one, check your mail or check your junk pile or your recycle bin. In it, it has the candidates that are running. Matt, will you run through the warrant articles for us?
Sure. Let me see. Article 2 is accepting gifts on behalf of the school district. I don't know if you want me to get into the descriptors at all, but if we don't have this article passed, if somebody wants to give us a gift of land or a gift of property or something like that, we have to go in front of the voters and get approval. This allows the board the same luxury that the town has by statute, that we could accept the property. Public hearing, everything like that, everybody's going to know what's going on. But it's just something we have been doing every single year for probably the past 35 years. We can accept gifts of cash, but that's a whole different process. That's a form that fills out, it gets posted in the paper. We can do that without this article. This article has to be done every single year. It's a boilerplate thing. So if you want to accept gifts to the school district, you vote yes on this article. There's also an article, last year we had the SAU office up on the ballot. It did not pass. And so this year we figured we'd kind of take a cue from the town of Merrimack, who really has a very robust capital reserve account system. And so we're going to try and build a capital reserve account for central office over the years, and then maybe one day we'll have enough for a down payment or for construction or something like that. This doesn't mean you're approving a central office. It just means that you approve of the concept of putting some money away, a little bit at a time, to get there into the future. Article 4 is James Master Kohler and Upper Elementary School roof replacement. We have over 11 acres of roofs. This is for around 19,000 square feet of roofs right now. There's a section of roof over the gym over at MES that is leaking right now. We really need to pass this. This is part of our multi-year roof plan. Probably in the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to have a 10-year gap in the roof plan. And at that point in time, it would behoove us to start another capital reserve for the roofs that are coming up in the future. The roofs that we put in now have a 45-year warranty, and it's for the best of the district to get this done so we don't wind up with a situation where we have mold and wet floors. You don't want to replace your gym floor. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that, and insurance probably would not cover it because of lack of maintenance of a leaky roof. And you have to vote. You don't have to, but it's advisable to vote yes on that, because if you vote no, no means no. And then if something happens to the roof, then there's nothing we can do but put some tarps up. And that's going to be about it. Article 5 is a petition warrant article to have the determination of the default budget to the Budget Committee. Has a little note down here that, it could present a conflict of interest where the Budget Committee is presenting the budget to the deliberative session, and they would be presenting the default budget to the deliberative session. So it pretty much excludes the board from decision-making as far as the Budget Committee goes, as far as the budget goes. It would all be up to the Budget Committee, both what gets presented at the deliberative session and what is the fallback as far as the default goes. So in that case, the board may not even choose to have deliberations and just hand it all over to the Budget Committee, because that's essentially what you're doing.
And we voted on whether we recommended
Yes.
that or not, and we were unanimous in not.
That's correct.
The best way to sum up this one that I've seen is it removes checks and balances.
Yes, it removes checks and balances. The next one is to remove the Budget Committee, rescind the warrant article of 2006 that brought back the Budget Committee. Back in around 2005, the town of Merrimack passed a town charter form of government. And in that town charter form of government, it did away with the municipal budget committee. And it did away with it for the town, and it did away with it for the school, because essentially the municipal budget committee is a town budget committee that handles both the school district and the town of Merrimack. So when they did that, it got rid of it for everybody. Then somebody came up with a petition warrant article to bring it back for the school only. And since that time, the budget committee for just the school has either increased the budget marginally. There was one year where they increased it $4,480 for an after-school program at the middle school. There's some other increases that they have done. And then in other years, like the last two, they have not changed it one iota from what the board had recommended. So when you look at that committee, you say, okay, what have they really accomplished? So you just have to think about that. It is another set of eyes. It does put us through our paces. It does legitimize the process. But what is the end result? And the end result right now, I don't see anything drastic coming out of that, just personally. Article 7 is the operating budget. It's a 3.78% increase. The default budget is $1 million less. The difference between the default budget and the operating budget is around $100 a year, not $100 a month or $100 or whatever. It's $100 a year on a $500,000 house. So that's essentially what you're talking about as far as the operating budget. And the operating budget as is has everything as far as we need, as far as the betterment of our curriculum and our facilities and our just general maintenance and upkeep of everything that we have in this district. So that's an important one to take a look at. And on the last bit of your little handout gives you a little cheat sheet, so if you want to kind of mark it up in advance and go in with this. I have seen people walk in with these, which kind of warms my heart because I've been doing this for 24 years, right? And it also includes a sample ballot that you can't run through the machine because it's not the right size and it won't take it. And Pat Heinrich will come after you if you try, so don't try. And it has a yellow thing over there. So it kind of gives you all the information that you're looking for. And we try and make it in kind of layman's terms because the legalese of these warrant articles, they're written that way for a purpose. It's not because, Matt wants to be fancy. It's because the law is the law, and this is the way we have to word things, and this is the way Department of Revenue expects them to be worded. So it's just to help everybody. It's not meant to be partisan in one way or another. It's just giving you the facts. That's all,
So the tax impact for the budget is 71 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. Just want to clarify that for people. Assessed value is what the tax assessor of Merrimack says your home is worth, not what Zillow says your home is worth.
Yeah, that's true.
And the average assessment on homes in Merrimack is less than $440,000 a year. We put $500,000 on there to kind of give kind of an upward amount of what that tax impact would be, but it's $324 for the year for the budget on a $500,000 house. So I know in social media people have been saying $700, $1,000, those kinds of things. If you look at your voter's guide, it gives you specifically what the tax impact will be, and you can go right on the assessor's page, see what your assessed value is, divide it by 1,000, multiply that number by 71 cents, and you can see exactly what your tax impact will be. Any other comments or questions from the board? Jenna?
I just wanted to say, Matt, and all the people involved in making this, thank you very much, because every voter in the Hardy household who is not me goes there with, I copy it and say, here you go. Because they're all like, we don't know what we're doing. I'm like, thank goodness I live in this house. You know what I mean? And so this is helpful for, the 18-year-olds who are like, oh, what are we voting for? And for the husbands who maybe don't pay attention.
Well, when
Or wives who don't pay attention. I'm sure there's plenty of wives who don't pay attention.
Please.
I don't want to be sexist.
But it's kind of we're so close to this and we live this every single day. We automatically think that everybody is up on everything. And when if you go to Tractor Supply, you start talking to people. You go to Tortilla Flats. Not that I've been in there maybe once or twice over the. Gage is laughing at me right now. I used to have a stool named after myself. Anyway, but and you start talking to people, they're not into it like you're, because we're like right up here, and we have to realize that we have to reach out to people and try and inform them the best we can. So
the week before the election's always fun for me because there'll be people I haven't really talked to in like a year to the day, because they're like, hey, what can you explain all this to me? So I'm always like, pull out your green thing that you get in the mail and follow along at home. But it's super helpful, and I know people use it. People will text me a picture. What do I do here?
And I think the mail route, I think it's still viable. People think of it's the
Absolutely.
post office. It's it's online. But that means you actively have to go and find it. When it hits the mail and it's something different looking, it catches your eye.
I think people really appreciate it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone, but I hear about it from a lot of people.
Good.
I also think it's beneficial because the news media focuses on the majority of towns who have their town meetings in March.
Yes.
And it's easy. We get past all that news media, and there's not as much hype on WMUR about those of us who are having it in April. And it's easy for it to just go by and you went, whoops, I didn't go vote. And this nice green mailer is also a good reminder of when voting day is. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Matt. So after our last discussion about New Hampshire's fair funding letter and adding the additional tax cap legislation that passed the House, I did draft a letter. Let me go ahead and read it, and then we can discuss it. Yes, I know the font changed on that. That's what happens when you're trying to print it when you just got landed from the airport. So Obviously, these will be individually addressed. This is just the draft at the top. But I'll read this one. Dear Governor Ayotte, on behalf of the Merrimack School Board, we are writing to express our concerns about the equality and long-term viability of New Hampshire's funding of public education. We implore you to back laws and programs that, 1, determine and increase state-level funding sources for education. The main source for funding for public education in New Hampshire is local property taxes, which has led to substantial inequalities among areas and an unmanageable burden on local taxpayers. School districts throughout the state are forced to make more tough decisions that impact staffing, student services, program offerings, and class sizes in the absence of adequate state-level financial streams to sustain education. To boost statewide investment in public education, we respectfully ask that the legislature and administration investigate and implement new or improved revenue choices. The common need to guarantee that all students, irrespective of their residence, have access to a sufficient and fair education ought to be reflected in these solutions. 2, raise the state's share of funding for public education. When it comes to the proportion of state funds allocated to public education, New Hampshire has the lowest percentage in the country. School districts are forced to either increase local taxes or cut back on services for students as costs climb, particularly those associated with special education, transportation, buildings, and health insurance. This process exacerbates inequality between communities with varying levels of property wealth and tax bases, as well as being unsustainable. We urge the state to reconsider how it finances education and to significantly increase its share of local school budgets in order to fulfill its constitutional duty to ensure that every child receives a quality education. This would improve the consistency of high-quality educational options throughout the state and lessen the financial strain on local property taxpayers. 3, oppose any legislation that would cap local school districts' budgets at the state level. The principle of local control has long been supported by the people of New Hampshire. Every town or city is in the best position to recognize and address the educational needs of its citizens and children. A statewide tax cap would undermine this tradition by restricting the ability of locally elected boards and town meetings to decide on appropriate spending levels based on local priorities, needs, and values. Such a cap would jeopardize our capacity to deliver necessary services and uphold high standards for teaching and learning, in addition to limiting our ability to adapt to shifting educational demands. As a fundamental component of New Hampshire's governance, local control must be maintained and supported. We implore you to promote equitable, sustainable, and responsible education policies by standing alongside your local communities. The moment has come for significant reforms that acknowledge the role that public education will play in the future of our state. We appreciate your dedication to our children and your ongoing devotion to the people of New Hampshire. Respectfully, each member of the board. Yes, I see the one typo in there.
I wasn't going to say the typo.
No, but go ahead, Lori.
Were you going to say the typo? She's the typo girl.
See?
I'm not the typo girl.
I missed it too.
I was just going to say thank you, Lori Peters. This is an exceptionally well-written letter, and it's what we talk about so many times at board meetings. And so you were able to take all of those thoughts and put them on a letter. So thank you very much. Well done.
And I just want to say I'm really proud that my name is on this letter. I could not agree more with every word.
So I will get these all sent out. I do want to say one thing about funding, because we've talked about it before, and I'll go back to a comment made at the Budget Committee that there's not this magic pot of money to withdraw funds from the state level. And yes, we pay a statewide education property tax as local taxpayers. But there are things that are happening that could offset some of the burden on local property homeowners and taxpayers. And I'm just going to use this one example. I was reading in the Union Leader the week before last that one of the subcommittees of the Finance Committee of the House voted down increasing taxes on casinos, but voted for increasing car registration registration fees on both your registration, vanity plates, etc. So this is just my opinion. It was mentioned that Massachusetts, Governor Ayotte wanted a 40% tax on casinos. Massachusetts charges 35%. But what Massachusetts also charges is a multi-million-dollar licensing fee annually to those casinos that we do not. So we can still be competitive if the state wants to be competitive with casinos, even by raising that tax, which would bring in revenue that the state needs. Car registration fees impacts every single car owner in the state, and it impacts the working class and working poor even more than anyone else in the state. This is an example where revenue impacts the most, but there are other things like the business enterprise tax, the interest and dividends tax, the casino tax, that only impacts a small amount of people. And I think what we have discussed on this board is we want the legislature, the only form of revenue is taxes and fees. There's no other way around that. But I think there are creative ways to keep the New Hampshire advantage and yet bring in more revenue that doesn't have widespread impact on every single person in the state, like car registration fees. So that's what we're calling on them to do. I've read and heard from both sides of the aisle in Concord. I know the federal government removing $80 million of COVID fees out of our revenue side of our budget is even going to impact our revenue more this year that we were not anticipating as a state. But there are solutions if we're willing to pursue them, and there are solutions that are business friendly and yet are still revenue friendly as well. And I think that's what we need Concord to do and make those hard decisions. And that's what this letter is calling for. But at the same time, I mean, I can sit here as an economist. Bill can sit here with his economics background as well. We can come up with all kinds of things. But that's not what we were voted to do. It's up to them, the onus is on the state legislature, to come up with those solutions. And not just simply say, well, we have a revenue issue, so we can't meet the court cases that say the state is inadequately funding public education. Any other thoughts or comments?
You did it.
Merrimack High School graduation date. This is to clarify.
Yes, the high school graduation date is Saturday, June 14th. Many states have a statute, including the state, that indicates that the originally designated date of high school graduation does not change with the number of inclement weather days or days off due to emergencies, etc. So that's why seniors in many high schools like snow days, because they don't have to make them up. Right? So it's June 14th. It is beginning to look, unless we have a very unanticipated heavy snowstorm that we miss 2 or 3 days of school with, it's beginning to look like, based on the hours of instruction, that we will still be able to end school on June 18th, Wednesday, June 18th. But regardless of that last day of school, graduation is Saturday, June 14th.
Thank you, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to new business. I want to invite Gage Perry from our Building and Planning Committee to bring a facilities naming recommendation. And please introduce everyone for us.
Gage Perry, I'm the Vice Chair of the Planning and Building Committee.
Joe Sanborn, science teacher and track coach at the high school.
All right, Jason Wright. I'm a former Merrimack High School athlete, 1994 to 1998. I've had 2 children who've also been coached by John Snell, and I am now an assistant coach at the high school.
Pat McGrath, former school board member, parent of 3 students who were athletes for John Snell, 2 who competed not only at the state level, but also represented the school district in New England track and field.
Mike Monahan, I'm a resident, 35 London Court. Mike Monahan, I'm a resident, 35 London Court, and I formerly was a track coach and science teacher in Merrimack for 9 years. I'm currently the principal of Exeter High School.
Brent Whitney, former athlete of Merrimack High School and current math teacher and track and cross country coach as well.
Do you guys have I'm sorry? Do you have I do have a little statement if you want. I didn't know if you wanted to go first.
I was just going to talk about the votes.
Oh, okay.
Please.
All right. I'm going to start at the beginning. Sorry. I do have a prepared statement just because I can't speak the way you guys do. Okay, thank you. See? There we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Sanborn. As I just said, I am a science teacher and track coach at the high school. We are here to request the naming of the school's track after a person who has dedicated his life to shaping the lives of thousands of students, both in and out of the classroom. John Snell has been a dedicated leader in Merrimack for decades, and we feel that it is appropriate that we honor his tangible contributions. John was a science teacher in the district for over 35 years, many of which were spent as department head. He taught, literally, generations of students about biology, chemistry, and anatomy and physiology. However, his impact spills out far beyond the walls of the classroom. For 40 plus years and counting, he has been a passionate and dedicated track coach, helping shape the character of so many young student athletes. He often speaks of being a teacher of track as opposed to just being a coach. This sentiment is echoed by the fact that he was both a Hall of Fame teacher at MHS as well as a New Hampshire Track Coach of the Year. The positive influence Coach Snell has had on our school community is immeasurable. Throughout the track community, the name John Snell is synonymous with the Merrimack Track and Field program. Please bear in mind, for much of his career, he worked without a track at all. His vision helped Merrimack School District to create an amazing track and field complex behind the school. Coach Snell has coached every event in track and field, which demonstrates his versatility. His integrity is exemplary, inspiring not only our coaches, but also other coaches like myself. And there's a couple more here tonight, like myself. It was Coach Snell's character that drew me from a rival school to MHS 20 years ago. He was not only a great department head, but also an excellent mentor. By naming our school's track after John Snell, we would be honoring a remarkable educator and coach whose dedication to the Merrimack community will continue to inspire future generations. Thank you for considering this nomination as we aim to recognize an individual who has made an indelible mark on Merrimack High School's history.
Well, everyone's looking at me. The creation of the track was a process that actually began in the spring of 1994. At that time, we were renting the Sauhegan High School track, and another parent came up the steps and said, "If you're Pat McGrath, I need your help. We gotta get a track going here." And that began the process. At that point, I already got to know John Snell because he was had already coached our oldest daughter. He was coaching our son. And we started to get some ideas together. And one of the things was, and if you follow track, there's a place over in Oslo, Norway, referred to as the Speed Oval. I asked John, why does everyone go there? He says, because they have the best track, the best engineered track in the world. So as we're moving forward, we finally took several meetings to get some money. And the town agreed with this plan that we created to build a track and also renovate every field on the Massacola High School campus. The lower field, which is now named for Joe Raycraft, everything else. One of the things that we came to realize is if we take the engineering that was done in Oslo and we applied it here in Merrimack, we would have the fastest track in the state. People would come here simply to break state records. It also allowed for Merrimack to have a regulation soccer field, something for a long time Mrs. Rothaus did not get to enjoy because it was a soccer field inside it was too small. So there was a lot of benefit for this. One of the things ultimately, which we didn't know when we brought the Warren article for $500,000 forward, John Snell said to me, "Do you realize that this is eligible for state building aid? 30%? We had no idea. John Snell saved the district and the voters and the taxpayers $150,000. So that $500,000 project came down to 350. Good man. So that's part of the background. And last year, Jason said, hey, we got to do something. And I turn to Jason.
Thank you. So yeah, Pat was right. Just about a year ago, I was standing out next to the track, next to John, and I looked out on the track and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we had an alumni mile here? And he got the biggest smile on his face and said, absolutely. So little did he know that I took that and hooked up with the other people here and a couple other people that are helping us in the Booster Club. And so this year we will have the first ever, I know this is televised, so hopefully John's not watching, but the John Snell Alumni Mile. It's a huge, there's a lot of excitement, not just in Merrimack, but the entire state of New Hampshire. We have retired track coaches that have spent countless years coaching athletes and really being John's peer that are totally behind it. Where I'm already daily, I'm getting entries from alumni from going back even before my time. So we're excited that in mid-May we're going to have the first ever alumni mile, and we thought as part of that, if this would go forward, that we could also honor John in another way by naming the track facility after him.
So just so you had a general feeling of the power behind this. We sat there as the planning and building committee. We get we've seen a few of the naming requests in the past. It's not, Butterfly Garden. We've had a couple of things that are nice. This came up in front of us in that room, sitting at that table. We had, the gentleman here. We had the people sitting at the table who were either students, former athletes, parents of athletes. There was no question. We were like, there's no need to discuss this. The vote was very quick. The only thing we discussed is how can we do it now? How can we do it today? So we did spend a lot of time looking at the law or the process. And we do have a 1-year waiting period in there, and we understand why it's there. Is to stop the emotional quotient that, someone just passed or something bad just happened. John retired a number of years ago from the teaching. He has not given up the coaching. So we are recognizing his tenure from teaching when he retired, and we'd like to use that as our start date. So we feel that we've passed the year mark. And we're planning building is bringing this up to you with a strong support for naming this after John Snell.
Any questions from the board?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. My sister was a track. I almost just said track star, but sorry, Jess. I'm pretty sure you weren't a star. I think probably at the same time you were in high school, Jess Coakley. Yes. And yeah. Yes. Yeah, she was a hurdler. I watched her one time. I don't think she was a star. Sorry. But she was okay. But she had Coach Snell. So, I can't think. If we're going to name that thing, I don't know who else we would name it for.
Lori.
So just a couple things that came up. So first of all, thanks, Gage. I want to also just recognize and thank Gage Perry. He's been on the school planning and building committee for like 20 years, and he's not seeking re-election, and we're really appreciative. I'm going to really miss you on that committee. I think that when I talked to the athletic director recently, one of the concerns that he was, he's in a master's class on naming different buildings and things. And so we have Memorial Field. And after speaking to him for, probably 45 minutes, one of the things that we thought we could do is you don't want confusion in if there's, everyone needs to evacuate to Memorial Field, that you could get a plaque that's flat on the ground. This track is in honor of John Snell for his dedicated. That way it's not big signage that someone would get confused, but we would still be doing the honor. And so I just wanted to just bring that back to the board. And I just want to say Mike Monahan, who's also the principal now of Exeter High School, after I coached with him in Merrimack too. He's retiring for Exeter High School, and it's nice to have him back here this evening.
So we gladly accept the recommendation of Building and Planning. We have to do our due diligence and go through our side of it and the funding and all of those kinds of things. So it will be on our agenda at the next meeting as well, since this is new for a number of board members. You know, we get our packets like on Saturday, or in my case today, and all of that information so that we can do our due diligence. But we are very excited to honor such an amazing educator and coach, and someone who clearly had an amazing impact on a number of students and student athletes here in Merrimack. So we thank you all for coming and sharing with us the impact he had on you and working with him, and we appreciate your time greatly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori, so we're going to turn to you for our, you mentioned it at the last meeting briefly, but the update on our request to Fidelity.
So very excited that Carol Shaughnessy from Fidelity reached out. She's a program officer, and she reviews the grant applications. We had a Zoom meeting. She listened to our request. She was very, very kind, and she was grateful that Fidelity is in Merrimack, which is such a supportive community for education. Unfortunately, our request doesn't fit the criteria for receiving money at this time. Our fundraising, or the amount of funds we would need, is 80% of our goal. And so, looking at a $6 million building, we have a little work to do. I did tell her that I would love to talk to Abigail Johnson, who is, as you know, the CEO. She said, Lori, she's the one that told me to call you. And she said that they wish us the best of luck moving forward. They believe that we have a real need with an SAU building, and she believes that we just need to stay focused and continue our work, that eventually we will get that building, that we have a lot of passion for it, and it's just a matter of time, and never quit looking at our options.
So is that standard for anything like this that they do? So a performing arts center would be the same thing.
Same idea, same idea.
So I'm wondering if we had multiple, you got BAE, you've got Fidelity, you've got Budweiser, you've got Elbit, you got some major heavy hitters that I think, you know, we should look at each one of them.
Exactly. And, you know, I talked to Matt because we would have to, when we're doing our fundraising, we would have to be a nonprofit. And Matt has expertise in that, you know, so our fundraising group would be a nonprofit. So thanks for that, Matt.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Just thank you for pursuing it. We got to look at all our options, and the fact that you went out and did it and took the initiative, I love it.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, review and approval of the document entitled FY26 General Assurances, Requirements, and Definitions for Participation in Federal Programs. That very lengthy document that was emailed to us and is in our packets. I'll turn it over to Bill.
Well, this is an annual approval. The General Assurances document states that we are to any grant recipient, any federal funds recipient, and sub-recipients are to comply with a number of laws, regulations that have been promulgated in the country over a number of years, such as Civil Rights, IDEA 504, Drug and Rehabilitation Act, you name it. Even the Davis-Baker Act, which requires essentially compensation and benefits that are consistent with what is paid in the area. So it's a standard agreement. You have approved it every year, and it requires a board approval. I'm recommending that you approve it.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Ken.
Second.
Seconded by Naomi. Any discussion? All those in favor? 500.
All right, thank you.
Any other new business? Okay. Policies, second review of food and nutrition services, anti-discrimination, and civil rights complaints. Any discussion on that policy? Okay. First reading of revised Title I Parent Involvement in Education Policy. And there is an appendix to that as well, which is a review. So I can entertain a motion to waive the first reading of the revised Title I Parent Involvement in Education Policy.
I'll move that motion.
All right, do you have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion about waiving that first reading?
No.
Okay.
Discussion about it, though?
Well, we'll do that at the next meeting.
All right,
This is just
okay.
waiving the first reading.
All right.
All right. All those in favor? 500. Okay, now we're going to review Title I Parent Involvement in Education Appendix. Get that out.
This one. Oh, it doesn't say appendix.
Yeah.
KBR1.
KBR1.
Appendix in the upper left. Oh, you're right, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, I was looking in the wrong place.
There's no red ink on this one.
That's because it's brand new. We didn't have it before right now.
Amy, you want to share with us what is new for this?
Sure. The policy KB, we're going through a review of looking at our policies, comparing them to the New Hampshire School Board recommendation. And so we're just looking to put this in line with what has happened since it was last adopted in 2007. So we're now expected to have a goal of the policy, and you'll see that highlighted on page 1. And then the required annual meeting and all of those other guidelines, the roles and responsibilities have moved to the appendix.
Any corrections, comments, concerns on the amendment, or appendix, excuse me? Okay, we will move that to approval for at our next meeting. Approval of the March 3rd non-public minutes. Do you have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the March 3rd non-public minutes.
Do I have a second?
Sure.
All those in favor? 500. Moving on to the March 17th non-public and public minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any corrections or discussion? All those in favor? 500. Consent agenda, educator resignations and retirements.
You have a collection of resignations and retirements, as well as nominations in your packet tonight. I thought I'd start with the resignations and then talk a little bit about the retirements, because we are bringing forth quite a few valued members who have done many years of service. So we'll start with the teacher resignations. Dr. Jennifer Gonzalez, science teacher at the high school. Elizabeth Dumais, science teacher at the high school. And Michael Smith, school counselor at the middle school. And Amy Doyle, assistant superintendent, as an administrator resignation. And then the teacher retirements, Marianne Sabat, special education teacher with 31 years of service to MES. Jenny Wagner, special education teacher, 41 years of service at JMU's. Linda Keene, she's a fax teacher at the middle school, 28 years of service. Philip Carl, woodworking teacher, 35 years of service at Merrimack High School. Pam Foster, technology education teacher, 24 years of service, Merrimack High School. Karen Hammis, school nurse, 13 years of service at the high school. Harry Hewitt, social studies teacher, 25 years of service at the high school. And Marla Jones, 36 years of teaching science at Merrimack High School.
Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I second.
And then I have some nominations too.
Okay, before we do the nominations, I want to say that we regretfully will accept Amy Doyle's resignation. She has been a crucial member of this team moving forward, and we are excited for what you have ahead of you, but very, very sad that you are leaving us.
Thanks, Lori.
Let's see, we'll take a vote just on the retirements and resignations. Any other comments or questions?
I'd love to make a comment about two teachers that were mentioned. The first is Liz Dumais. Liz is one of the finest people that I've ever been taught by. Immediately after coming back from maternity leave, she was thrown into chaos since the current physics teacher at the time had been placed on leave. She refreshed herself on some physics and taught herself some more, all while learning how to navigate the AP curriculum. with help from Doxy, of course. Without fail, at the end of every class, she tells us to make good choices. Her collaborative learning environments are something that enhance not only understanding, but also relationships. She never hesitates to stand up for what is right. She goes far beyond a teacher for me. She is a role model and a mentor, and I don't know how I got so lucky to have her for 2 years in a row. And then Harry Hewitt, another incredible professional that I am extremely lucky to have had taught me. Mr. Hewitt always put a smile on people's faces. You know it's Mr. Hewitt's room when you walk by and you hear him playing the harmonica, or when he's sitting out in his chair saying hello to students as they pass in the hallway. People will ask me, or sometimes they'll come up to me and they'll go, "How's school going?" And because of a select few staff members, I get to say it's going really well. I enjoy going to school every day, and those two people certainly allowed me to say that I enjoyed going to school. So I hope that they have much luck in their future lives wherever it leads them.
Thank you, Finn. And those are the words that all of us are striving to hear students say generation after generation. Lori?
Yeah, there's just a number of teachers here too, but just Marianne Sabat, I just want to say she was my daughter, Erin's teacher, and then she was my grandchildren's teacher, and she was just a fabulous teacher at the elementary school. She was just amazing. She was a reading teacher originally and a classroom teacher, and then she went to special ed. Fabulous. You know, Phil Carl, Marla Jones, like we're losing some really wonderful teachers.
So I'll jump in too, because first of all, I remember Jeannie Wagner from when I went to school, but I was young enough that I can't, I mean, she was here, she's been here for 41 years. She started working in this district when I was 9 years old. 9 years old, that's bananas. But I remember her. I don't remember how I knew her. I just remember when I see her, I immediately say elementary school, you know? And so that's an incredible thing to have that long of a career in one place, serving students in one community. I just took out my phone and calculated it. The people that are retiring have a 233 combined years serving the Merrimack School District. Wow. That's incredible. I also want to say, you know, Marla Jones and Liz Dumais, both, Liz Dumais has had maybe all three of the Hardy kids, but definitely two of them, and just an exemplary teacher. I'm so, you know, happy for what's ahead for her, but that's such a loss for the Merrimack School District, and I'm so truly heartbroken to see her go, and I know that I'm not alone at all. She's an absolutely incredible human being, and almost an even better teacher, then that's saying something. And then Marla Jones, you know, the Hardy kids aren't known for their science acumen, but she was a spectacular teacher. Or she is a spectacular teacher, and for the kids who really, you know, have to take science but maybe aren't the best at it. So I don't know everyone on this list, but I just have to shout out those particular teachers. It's really, truly impressive. 233 combined years is amazing. So grateful for all of their service.
All those in favor of accepting the resignations and retirements, say aye. 500.
Lori, may I just say something?
Yes.
And
you know, there are very few people who work in any organization who make a profound impact on that organization. And, you know, sometimes I've told you from time to time that Amy had roller skates, but those roller skates had jet engines on them because she was everywhere, working with people, improving the school system like no one else I've ever worked with has improved a school district. And, you know, sometimes a person will work 50 years in an organization and not have the impact that she's had on this school district in the short time she's been here. Won't last a year, won't last 5 years, 10 years, it'll last decades in the school system. And we are profoundly thankful.
Now we'll let you do the nomination.
Okay. Shane Rosmus will become the next assistant principal at Merrimack High School, and Matthew O'Brien moves into the position of Director of Extended Learning Opportunities and Graduation Pathways.
Do you have a motion to accept the nominations?
So moved.
Second.
So I just want to mention that we met with Shane prior to coming into our meeting tonight, and we are very excited about what he will be bringing to Merrimack High School. We are also excited that Mr. O'Brien is going to be moving into our extended learning opportunities. He is a fabulous educator. He is very creative, and I'm very excited to see him in that new role. Any other comments by the board?
My only other comment is the kids in Merrimack High School are going to miss having him in class in that capacity. You know, he's a much beloved teacher. So we're very thankful he's staying and we're moving into a new leadership role, but the kids are going to miss him.
All right, all those in favor of accepting those nominations, say aye. 500. Committee reports. They seem to be all scheduled in the next 2 weeks, so there will be lots at the next board meeting.
There might have been one. I might be missing one. Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? I'll have to get back to you on that one. Don't remember off the top of my head.
All right, correspondence. We had a number of right-to-know requests. Some of the board was included on those. Some of them were you were not included in, but we have had an extensive number of right-to-know requests. I had an email about the election and candidates and requesting a board opinion, and I said the board does not take an opinion on candidates. Sorry, Naomi. We do not make recommendations or prohibitions on any candidate. If your name is on the ballot, then the public has a right to make their own choice. And then there were a couple of emails that I redirected back towards administration because that was the proper chain of command. And I had one email from a special education parent just thanking the district for the work that we do with special education. All right, comments from the board. Naomi.
I didn't think of this fast enough when we were talking to the folks with the naming rights request. One of the pieces of information I would like before we make our decision at the next meeting is, Lori made me think of it, what are the sort of logistics of the process? Like, and I'd like that information before I have to vote on it so I can think it over, like how it works, where the plaque goes, when it happens, all of that kind of stuff.
And that will be us actually working with administration on that. We get to make those decisions, but we will definitely get all of the options to board members prior to the meeting.
Thank you.
And
I just want to say, before we wrap my last meeting, thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you to the voters of Merrimack for trusting me with this opportunity. Hope I didn't screw it up too much. Thank you for your collegiality and your friendship and all the wisdom. I've learned so much doing this, and I get asked all the time, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you have the time? And it must be so hard. And I always say it's not. It's really not that hard when you have a really good team. And so, like I said, I don't regret a second of it. I can't wait to be sitting in those seats yelling about why we don't have an auditorium, which is one of the reasons why I got on here in the first place. So don't worry, I will still be here. And I look forward to seeing where you guys go next. So thank you.
you will always be welcome to come respectfully yell at us. Any other comments? Well, I will open up our floor one last time for tonight to public comments on agenda items only. If you'd like to come speak, you may come to the back microphone and state your name and address. If you're a student, you never have to state your address. We only have one person left in the room, but I will open it up for a minute because sometimes people do walk in at the last minute. They've watched us online and they come to say something at the final public comment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we, I'm sorry, Ken. I know I'm robbing it from you. Your last meeting. Something that I did miss in my student update. I wanted to touch base on what Aaron said at public comments. policy JCIM. I've had a lot of students talk to me about it. I would urge the board to reconsider. It can be helpful not just for high achieving students, but those students with 504s and IEPs who like to have a set and regular routine. Not allowing them to bring their devices into school can really be detrimental to a wide variety of students. And it does make IT's job a little bit easier, but from hearing from students and staff in the past couple days and weeks as I've tried to solicit feedback from this, I don't think that a good argument is that that's worth it. Those trade-offs are worth it. So that would be my last note, and then Ken, go ahead.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'm going to second that one for once. All those in favor? 500. Thank you and good night. Thank you, Ken.